Congressman Akin joins me now. This is the first conversation that he has had since all of this controversy has erupted. He has issued a statement last night saying that he misspoke, but I think we need to talk about it a little more deeply. And first of all, Congressman Akin, thank you for joining me, because I know it's a very difficult day for you, but you're getting hammered out there, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain what did you mean by the comment that you made yesterday?
Well, Mike, I really appreciate your program and everything you stand for, and I really appreciate you giving me a chance to try to make this thing right, because I've really made a couple of serious mistakes here that were just wrong, and I need to apologize for those. First, I might say that I've always been committed to pro-life, and it was because I didn't want to harm the most vulnerable. But likewise, I care deeply, for the victims of people who've been raped, and they're equally vulnerable, and a rape is equally tragic. And I made that statement in error. Let me be clear. Rape is never legitimate. It's an evil act, and it's committed by violent predators. I used the wrong words in the wrong way. What I said was ill-conceived, and it was wrong. And for that, I apologize. Now, I'm a dad of 2 daughters. I want tough justice for the sexual predators. I've always had a compassionate heart for the victims of sexual assault. And I've even known some women who have been raped, and I know that it is a terrible, terrible thing, and that those consequences extend many, many, many years later. And I also know that people do become pregnant from rape, and I didn't mean to imply that wasn't the case. It does happen, and it's also terrible, particularly the most terrible of all. And I really just want to apologize to those that I've hurt, because, as I said, I have spoken in error, and I wanted to get that straight right off the bat.
Well, there has been a firestorm from this, and I think one of the problems that maybe accelerated it was the use of the term legitimate. What did you mean by legitimate rape? Were you attempting to say forcible rape, or was that just... Where did that come from?
Well, I was talking about forcible rape, and it was absolutely the wrong word. Yeah.
But you do realize, there are rapes that result in pregnancy.
That's right. I know that, and in fact, I have known people who've been raped. I don't know any who've been raped and it turned out to be in pregnancy, but I know that happens too.
Okay, so that's one of the things that people have said, is that it is medically incorrect to say that if you are raped that you won't have a pregnancy, because obviously there are a number of people. Ethel Waters, for example, was the result of a forcible rape. I used to work for James Robison back in the 1970s. He leads a large Christian organization. He himself was the result of a forcible rape, and so I know it happens, and yet even from those horrible, horrible tragedies of rape, which are inexcusable and indefensible, life has come, and sometimes, those people are able to do extraordinary things, and I think, again, it's a shame, but this has caused such a distraction to your campaign. Is it fatal? There are people today, Congressman, saying you need to drop out of the race.
Well, I don't know that I'm the only person in public office who suffered from foot and mouth disease here, and this was a very, very serious error. On the other hand, there are so many good people in Missouri who dominated me, and they understood my heart to try to restore the terrible economic condition that our country's been brought to, a time when we're running up $1 trillion a year deficit, which, how do you know how much $1 trillion is? That's about like the gross domestic product of Canada. We have some really serious economic problems, and we've got a budget deficit that's unlike anything we've seen in the past, and we have absolutely no budget in the Senate for 1,000 days. And I feel just as strongly as ever that my background and ability will be a big asset in replacing Claire McCaskill and putting some sanity back in what's going on in our government. We've got people who are also suffering from no jobs, people who have dropped off the unemployment list because they tried and couldn't get anything. We got a lot of companies that are just barely lips above the water. We're facing the biggest tax in the history of our country starting January 1, and there's a lot of work that has to be done. And my heart is in doing that, and the good people of Missouri nominated me, and I'm not a quitter. And my belief is we're going to take this thing forward, and by the grace of God, we're going to win this race. And to quote my old friend John Paul Jones, I've not yet begun to fight.
You realize, of course, you're going to have a lot of people fighting you with these words. I can envision television ads that will come against you, and you'll hear these over and over. If you go forward, how will you address in the future those words, the allegations that will come behind them? How will you deal with that?
Well, I think the same way that I have on your program, Mike. I have to apologize for them. You know, the people from Missouri that elected me know that I'm not perfect. They don't make perfect people. We all make mistakes. And having traveled around our state, I also know that the many people who supported me know that when you make a mistake, what you need to do is tell people you're sorry. And don't try and hide it. Don't lie about it. Don't try and cover it up. And I believe that's what has to be done when you make a mistake like I did. But just because somebody makes a mistake doesn't make them useless. And just because I made a mistake here doesn't mean that we don't have work to be done, and that there's not a tremendous difference between the approach that I would take in dealing with the great economic crisis that America faces and Claire McCaskill, who has voted right along with Obama. We are very, very different people.
Congressman, I also want to ask you, you've had a lot of pushback from within the party, the Republican Party. There are senators calling for you to get out. Mitt Romney issued a very strong statement saying your comments were inexcusable. I want you to tell us, has anyone from the Romney campaign called and asked you to drop out? Have you had calls from the Republican National Committee or from the Senatorial Committee? Any official request directly to you for you to drop out?
Well, no one has called me and said, Todd, I think you should drop out. No one has said that. But I gather people are saying that on the media, but they didn't specifically call me and tell me that.
Are you in any way disappointed that there has been such a backlash from within the party? Were you expecting maybe a little bit more circling the wagons, or is this understandable in light of the comments and how they've been very strongly played today? Well,
I understand from watching other people who've made mistakes that nobody wants to own your mistake, and I don't think anybody should, and that's why I'm apologizing for what I did wrong. And so, on the other hand, there are certain basic principles that we believe in, and that I'm just completely committed to, and that is the fact that people and that life are tremendously valuable. That's what's made America such a unique country. It's because we believe that life is something that comes from our Creator, that we're made in His image. And all across America, you see Americans that have a respect for life. It's not a political debate. It's not words. It's how they live their lives. I remember on September 11th, the rescue workers running into the building that's about to collapse. They grab somebody in a wheelchair, pick them up. They don't check their ID to see whether they're important or not. They just take them to safety and run back for more. They, by their lives, speak as Americans of what we think about the value of human beings and how much respect we hold people with, and also people who've been victimized, how we hurt with them and try to care for them and try to love them. And that's the very special thing about our country, and that's what we have at risk right now, and that's what we have to defend that.
Well, Congressman, I appreciate the generosity of your time and also being here. You've been gracious to come on. I know it's easier to probably run and hide today because everybody wants to get you to come on the record and talk, and you've been pretty clear in expressing deep regret of the things that you said yesterday, and I appreciate your coming and visiting very candidly about the comments and your regrets for them, and apologies on on the hurts that they cause people.
Well, Mike, I really appreciate your giving me that opportunity to be able to say that personally to so many people, and also for the fact that you're a man with a big heart, and I know you love this country too. And I thank you for all that you do for it.
Well, Todd Akin, thank you very much for joining us. Congressman Todd Akin from Missouri. He is the GOP nominee for the United States Senate, seat currently held by Claire McCaskill. And the big question is how this will affect that race. We're grateful that he was able to and willing to come on our show and talk about it. I'd like to get your thoughts. You've just heard Congressman Akin give his